Can we just take a moment and just note that the next Supreme Court justice cannot define what a woman is? That's weird. I mean, not as bad as a box of weenies from Gender Mills, and they're made with toasted 100% whole snowflakes. You can get the T-shirt. I don't know who's making them. I think this is wrong and despicable. You can get the T-shirt now at weeniesforbreakfast.com. Anyway, is this reality? I mean, we also celebrated International Women's Day recently, and I seem to remember every corporation and organization knew pretty much how to identify a woman. I bring this up because it's one of the growing numbers of things that 10 or 15 years ago, you would have said that will never happen. And that's the next part of the decoder ring. Things that could never, ever happen. Can we just stop saying that as a nation? This I wrote 15 minutes before the program tonight. Flying airplanes into the World Trade Center never would happen until it did. The Patriot Act, take your shoes off, take your belt off. I'm going to feel your crotch for a while. And look at me, I got a badge and I make $3 an hour. I'm in charge. That would have never happened. And of course, we had the Vietnam War, but this time we had a 20-year war that we actually won, and then we handed the keys and our helicopters and our billions of dollars of airport to the people we were fighting the whole time. And that's crazy. That'll never happen. How about this one? The 2008 meltdown. Remember that? What? We're going to have a crash? No, I was there. I remember. That'll never happen. $750 billion bailout, TARP. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's never happened before. Can't happen again. Of course not. $750 billion is chump change. We're now $5 trillion at the COVID bailout. And speaking of COVID, another thing that'll just never happen, shut down the global economy and then lock people in their houses and let giant corporations open, but mom and pop businesses, they have to stay closed. By the way, need a mask when you're standing, but not when you're sitting. Never happened, right? It did. Press colluding, the president is colluding with Russia. That's what they said about Donald Trump. That could never happen. Well, then we found out not colluding with Russia. Yet the press said that could never happen. He has to be guilty, even though he wasn't guilty. But then they move on, the president colluding with Russia, China, and Ukraine, taking dollars, millions of dollars through his son, who is a crack addict. And the whole time we're expected to oh no, oil companies and giant banks in China, of course they hire him, and it has nothing to... The guy is doing blow off the belly of hookers. I mean, it could never happen. It did happen, and yet this time the press had no interest. And the FBI lost the laptop. Did you hear that one? Trump's family is clean. This is a guy who did business in New York. I don't know if you've ever been there, you know what I'm saying? But Vinny the Nose will come by and make sure the construction site is operating the way it should be. You know what I'm saying? That guy who worked with those people for decades, he's been investigated by every top secret spy agency on the planet, and maybe the aliens that the Pentagon said is real, but that'll never happen. I think they investigated him too. Nothing. His family is clean, but the one that's held up by the press, Biden, is in a crime family. It could never happen. Just like the left burning down our cities and the Democratic politicians openly bail those people out. And then the press says it's really a peaceful operation, $2 billion worth of damage. That could never happen. The right then stormed the Capitol. The instigators lost by the FBI. Might be with a laptop. I'm not sure. Where did I put Ray Epps? Where did I put him? The press then says it's the worst since the Civil War. And the Democrats don't bail these people out. Instead, they throw the book at grandma. That'd never happen. PTA, parents are terrorists. Supreme Court justice can't define a woman, yet those who can are deplatformed and called haters. Just take this one step at a time. The U.S. is energy independent. The president did something I never thought was possible in my lifetime. We become energy independent, and then could never happen, right? Yeah. But then the next president immediately shuts it down, so we're not energy independent. And then we go to Saudi Arabia. The guys will take they kill people and put them in blenders, and they won't take our president's call when we're like, we'd like to give you billions of dollars for some of your oil. No, they're pissed off at us. They won't even talk to us now because we're doing a deal with Iran and empowering the mullahs in Iran. That could never happen. Oh my gosh. We don't have pregnant women. We now have a pregnant individual. Men in California are in female prisons. That could never happen. Washington State just this week said, you know what? No gas cars on the road by 2030. Check your watch. Did you ever think $5 gas would happen in the middle of the country? I didn't. Hey, remember when we used to say, hey, Disney is... Like, I saw this picture, you freeze the frame, and they spelled sex out in the clouds. That's ridiculous. We would never do something like that. Yesterday, they came out with their very open sexual and gay agenda. 50% of Disney is going to center around gay children, transgender children. Oh man, that's good. That'll never happen. CRT in our schools, never happen. Iran a friend, Israel a foe. War with Russia, and my favorite, you know what I haven't thought about since, I don't know, 1989? Being vaporized. I haven't thought about it since I was a kid. Now we're actually talking about being vaporized again. So please, shut the frickin' pie hole with, oh, that would never happen. Ugh! Now, let me take it a step further. The next thing on the decoder ring that will help you determine what's true and what's not. When there's a consensus in the media about anything, you should run for your life. I'll give you. The danger
of Florida's Don't Say Gay bill.
Change the Don't Say Gay bill.
The Don't Say Gay bill.
Don't Say Gay bill.
Don't Say Gay bill.
Don't Say Gay bill. Wow. So when there's an across-the-board adoption of messaging like this, or the Great Reset, or we'll never go back to normal, it's the new normal. Whenever stuff like that is happening, you should go, why is everybody in the media saying things like they're a parrot? It's almost like they're robots. Or somebody's feeding this to all the journals, and they're all saying it out loud over and over again because they are trying to make it true. In a sense, they're right, because people do. You do an ounce of homework and you can find out, okay, that's not what it is. But people believe the lie. That's exactly what the left is hoping for when they peddle these deceptions. When you detect a red flag of any kind from the left, how do you know if you're on the right track or wrong track? How do you read stories? How do you know? Well, I found there's a few stages to finding the truth. So if you're sniffing around, let's say you're questioning something, you're not sure, is this a conspiracy theory or is it real? And you've done a little homework, but you see this red flag, but you don't know. Okay. If the mainstream media is not reporting, the rule used to be, if they're not reporting it, it didn't happen. Okay? Now, if they're not reporting, you got a 50-50 shot that it is happening. If they're not reporting and it's everywhere else, let's go, Brandon, you can guarantee that that's right. If it's everywhere and they haven't said a peep about it, that's weird. Now, You could say it's a conspiracy theory, and at this point, it might be a conspiracy theory. But if the mainstream is not reporting it, it's everywhere, and then they start saying, this is a conspiracy theory. Yeah, that's step 1 and 2. Conspiracy theory? Yeah, you got a shot. It is a conspiracy theory. They're not reporting it? You got a shot. It's not true. But if they're not reporting it, and then the first thing they do is say, it's a conspiracy theory, you've just gone up to about 65% chance it's probably true. Now, that doesn't make it true. It just means you got to do a little extra homework here. Okay, that's when 4 comes in. That's when they say, it's a conspiracy theory. I mean, it's happening, but you don't understand it. It's happening, but not the way you're saying it is. Wait a minute, you just said it didn't exist. Then you said it was a conspiracy theory. Now you're saying it does exist, but not in the way everyone else is saying, but only in the way the mainstream media is strangely parroting that same thing all across. Wow. Then if you keep going, it's happening, but, and then they say, and people who are repeating any of this are dangerous and they need to be silenced. That's when, boom, it's 100% you're on the right track. We've seen it with CRT. When it was first starting to get called out, the left said, yeah, it's real, but it's an academic theory not being taught in elementary schools. Then, okay, it is being taught, but it's actually a good thing. This is the way we fix a broken system. This is the way we create equity. America, America. And then they move to their final stage. Yes, CRT is being taught, and parents who are protesting it are domestic terrorists. You see ESG moving through those stages right now. First, concern about ESG, nothing. Then conspiracy theory. Then, yes, it does exist, but it's not what they say it is. The next stage will be silence any of the opposition. If you're a big game hunter, you have to know how the animal moves. You know what I mean? How do they move? Do you know how they move? You do now. Box of weenies is just so wrong. What's worse, I hope you don't go to weeniesforbreakfast.com and buy the t-shirt. Talk to you tomorrow. Good night.